And we are live. Welcome to the Political Orphans. My name is Nico Hagen, and I am your in-house conservative. To my left, normally Rob Ambrose, our token liberal, but for some reason, he's not here right now. We are the bold new voice of independent media where left meets right. Our goal is simple: challenge the narrative, reject political biases, and tackle the topics mainstream media will not touch. Now, if you're new to the show, yes, we do record for 2 hours every single day. And if you're looking for a specific topic, just look at the bottom of your screen. Everything will be segmented per topic so that you can find it easier. But the point of the matter is that we record for 2 hours because we do take a lot of comments. So if you really want to be part of the show, make sure to join us live noon Eastern, Monday to Friday. Here are the top stories of the day. Statistic Canada reports that $83.9 billion in foreign investment has left the country in the first 5 months of this year alone. Jeff Evely is joining us to speak about his case that the Justice Center for Constitutional Freedom is fighting for at the Superior Court of Ottawa. So that's at 12:30. 23 Quebec companies are suing the federal government for $300 million over the temporary foreign worker program because of the new rule changes. Tamara, Lich, and Chris Barber just posted a new update on their case with the federal government. Mandana Javan, the organizer of the protests I attended yesterday at the Notre Dame Church in Montreal, is going to join us at 1:30. And it is claimed that right now, as we speak, our federal government is looking to hire digital ID experts. Before we get started, I have an announcement for Wednesday. David Creighton and I will be going live at 7 p.m. to speak about the conservative movement in Canada. This is all part of the Political Orphans. We're trying, just as Rob speaks that he wants to change the left or reform the left, I want to do the same for the conservatives. So hopefully David and I get along and we can make this a weekly thing. But right now, first show, first episode on Wednesday, 7 p.m. right here. So get your comments ready because the show starts now. Motherfucker.
How's it going, brother?
God damn.
You got it. Yeah. You're getting better, getting good.
Dialing it in. Blah. Yes. Yeah. Fuck. It's just it never fucking ends. Well, I'm gonna have to get myself a nice teleprompter.
Believe me, we know.
Fuck.
Believe me, we know. How's the weekend?
No sleep, busy.
Yeah. That's right? Baby life, right? Newborn life.
I really have to readjust my schedule because he eats 8 times a day, right? And okay. I take him at 3 o'clock, 3:30 and 6:30. I'm taking them. So that's like an hour and a half, right? It takes like 45 minutes for feeding between getting ready, washing the stuff, feeding him, preparing all the stuff. God damn.
Yeah. Really not used to this. Is he putting on some weight?
Oh, yeah, man. We were at the hospital on Saturday. Well, not at the hospital, but CLSC.
Yep.
And he's gained something like 200 grams in 4 days, which normally I think they average 25 grams, give or take.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah, he took like a fifth of a pound in the span of 4 days.
I think being born small is not a big issue, but they want to see you putting on weight pretty quick. So
it's not an issue at all. The problem was his glucose level because he's so small that it's hard for him to regulate his glucose level. And that's what kids need or newborns need to develop their brain function properly.
Yep.
So he was spending most of his sugar keeping himself warm. So we have to he's always doubled or tripled up in clothes to make sure he's never, it's like 24 degrees. We keep it warm so he doesn't get cold. I'm sweating my ass off because I'm always running warm. adaptation, but it's all worth it at the end of the day, right?
Of course. Yeah, so we heard you went to you want to tell us a little about the weekend there, or do you want to save that for the guests that we have later in the show?
No, we'll talk about it when she's there, but you're referring to Mandana Javan, the
protest, woman who organized a protest.
I don't know how to qualify her protest, so I'm gonna let her explain it. She's a smart girl. I spoke to her for a good 10 minutes yesterday.
Yep.
She's a clever woman, Iranian, and it's not a religious thing. It is just not a secular thing either. There's laïcité in French. She explained to me the difference yesterday, and it made 100% sense.
Okay.
But she says we're not a secular society. We are a laïc society. I have to find what the definition is in English. But
Sure.
you'll see she's very clever, very, very, very clever woman. So we have her at 1:30, and we're also talking to Jeff Evely at 12:30, ex-military veteran that was arrested by police for standing guard at the memorial monument in 2022. So, but they've appealed his case to the Ontario Superior Court, and he's going to give us an update on that. He's a cool dude. I've recorded with him before. He's a smart guy, very well spoken, very clever guy, full of rabbit holes. So you got to be careful where you drive the conversation, or else he'll be here for 3 fucking hours.
Yep.
How about we get started? Did you hear about the Statistic Canada report? You hear about that?
Yeah, I just the headlines. I didn't dig into it. In fact, most digging I did into it was when you said that we were going to talk about this today, but pretty wild and not entirely surprising. But why don't you give us the numbers there, and then we'll get into it.
Bro, I literally digged into it for at least 2-3 hours this morning alone. So like I always do, I'm gonna kind of share my exploration story with this one. It all started on Saturday with a Jasmine Lane post that she made. Basically what she's saying is that 83.9 billion gone in just 4 months. Foreign investors dumped Canadian assets. 11.4 billion in stocks sold just in May. They're pulling out fast, and even Canadians are taking their money out of Canada, and guess where they're putting it? In the fucking US. So I started looking at this, and you know how I am. I don't trust what people post. It's always a great place to start, but I don't take it for granted. So I started doing some research, and I did find the report that she was talking about. It's a report that is posted directly on Statistic Canada's website, and it is named Canada's International Transactions in Securities, May 2025. And there's a few places I want us to talk about, this being the first one. As a result, international transaction and securities generated a net outflow of funds of $16.2 billion from the Canadian economy in May. That's just the month of May. A 4th consecutive month of net outflows, bringing the total to $83.9 billion. So her number is accurate. It is true based on their number. The other place, there's another place, I think it's right here. Is it that place? As a result, yeah, that's the place. So this is another thing that is worth mentioning, is that it also said that Canadian investors increased their exposure to foreign securities by 13.4 billion in May, an increase compared with the 4.1 billion investment in April. So basically, not only are foreign investors taking their money out of the Canadian economy, but even Canadians are taking their money out.
Putting their money, yeah.
Guess where? In the fucking US.
Yeah.
Yep. And just for sake of mentioning it, I did some research, and from what I can find, this is the largest 5-month divestment in Canadian history.
Wow.
We've never seen anything like that before. We've had some bad months, but not 4 to 5 in a row. And it just keeps on going. And this is just May. We don't have the numbers for June
Oh,
We don't
shit.
have the numbers, obviously, for July. So who's to say that it's not getting worse? Because what was it? Just last month, it was something like $16.2 billion just in the month of May. Sorry, not last month, but the month of May. It's problematic to say the least. And people are saying, I don't know if you follow Table Salt on X.
I
He's
don't.
he has some
Familiar with it, but I don't think I've seen too much of his stuff.
he has a pretty I don't know if it's questionable or not, but he's pretty bang on when it comes to the economy, as in he posts about it all the time. And he reports that 90% of the money that left Canada has been going to the US.
Well, that's I mean, that's not entirely surprising. The thing is these are, for the most part, these are the people who have their finger on the pulse of the economy, both ours and America's. And and the one reason why like capital flows or money flows is so such an important signal is because there's no virtue signaling when it comes to money, right?
Nope.
All that
it's not political.
No, all that shit stops at the fucking door. Many of those people who are doing that, I have no doubt, in public are elbows up and fuck yeah, Canada.
Not behind closed doors.
When it comes to their money, there's no virtue signaling. There's no politics. People only care about return, period, and that's why it's such a reliable indicator. It's not, and we don't even need to really. Finance and economics can be complex, but we don't need to complicate this. This is just the people who understand money and finance the best know that Canada right now is not a good bet, period. And we're not a good bet because we're being governed by people who do virtue signal, people who are not really worried about the economy, by a government who is focused on who wants to make resource extraction a morality play when it's not. It's an economic play. Of course, you should be extracting resources in a responsible way and being sure like to do it as cleanly and as least destructive to the environment as possible. But it's not immoral to pump oil from the ground. It's not immoral to dig titanium, aluminum, gold, diamonds out of the ground. That's not immoral. That's our wealth. That's our right to do so. We have a government who fundamentally makes resource extraction a moral case. We have a prime minister who makes he's publicly said he wants to make climate change agenda the cornerstone of every economic decision. And the people who are the money masters are going to look at that and be like, oh, okay, sweet. Thanks for letting us know. Fucking call the broker, sell everything you can in Canada, buy everything you can in America. Because like Trump or hate him, he is his mindset is better for business, better for the economy.
And you know what's unfortunate, and I was looking for the numbers, but I could not find the numbers per se. But I have some estimates here, and the industries that are the hardest hit on foreign money leaving Canada and even Canadian money leaving Canada is energy and mining. Obviously, 28% of
the numbers are not a coincidence. Not a coincidence.
But the numbers I'm going to give you right now is not a specific to the almost $90 billion that left. It's just where is foreign investors investing their money in Canada. In 28% of the times, it is in energy and mining, 22% manufacturing, 32% management of companies, and 15% finance and insurance. So energy and mining, oil and gas, obviously.
Energy and mining, and what was the third one? Manufacturing, which is almost
second one's it's cars.
Cars, when they say manufacturing, that's what they mean. Automobiles, auto parts. I would say of the manufacturing sector, probably 70 or 80% of it is the automotive sector.
Yep.
And those three things: mining, minerals, oil and gas, automobiles. Those are the three sectors that are just getting crushed under this Carney government. Some of it's not necessarily his fault, tariffs. And I'm saying that with the benefit of I'm being real generous to Carney, real generous, because we don't know what would have happened, what Trump would have done if he hadn't done all this elbows up shit. Maybe he wouldn't have hammered us so hard, right?
Yeah, so Polyev would have been prime minister.
Yeah, exactly, right? and it couldn't have been any worse, put it that way. But yeah, like the way Carney went about turning America into Canada's enemy for political gains here domestically, he's fooling himself if he thinks the Americans aren't watching that as well. If he thinks Trump's not going to take that personally, and if he doesn't think Trump's he doesn't understand Trump's personality. If he thinks that there's not going to be some consequence. So, like I said, it's very debatable whether Carney has any responsibility for the terrorists. But just for the sake of argument, we'll give him that benefit of the doubt. Let's just say that's not his fault. Again, that's not for sure clear at all. But one thing that's definitely his fault or under his control is the centering climate change in all of our economic decisions. It is leaving Bill C-69 intact. It is pandering to Indigenous people who just are anti-development. Period. Yeah, it's all those things. He could be developing our resources and he's choosing not to. We got should we take a couple got a couple comments here?
But before we do, there's a couple of things worth mentioning. First and foremost, the 90% that table salt and others have posted has not been proven. From the numbers I could find, if we judge by the 2024 patterns, we estimate about 50 to 70% of them made it to the US. But there would be a 50 to 30% that would have ended up in Europe, Caribbean, and Asia. The other thing worth mentioning is before you start telling me that it's not Mark Carney's fault, the numbers I provided, the 81, let's call it the $90 billion was from January to May. But if you remember, he became prime minister on March 14th, was elected on April 28th. And since he took office, so since March 14th, $49.6 billion of that 89 is directly under his management.
To be clear. When I was saying, I meant maybe tariffs, but overall, the story we're talking about, the 89 billion, that is his fault because that is just investors looking at his government saying, "No, don't want to invest with these guys."
The other thing that was worth mentioning is let's not forget the ethics commissioner's report that was released 2 weeks ago. It indicated that his investment, 91 to 92% of his investments were in the US and Canada. The Canadian companies that he has investment with represent 0.5% of his portfolio. Just that's putting it out there. Yeah. So the guy that manages our country knows better than to invest his money
in Canada. that's what I was saying. Like there's what people say publicly, and a lot of that is bullshit because of politics, because of what's virtue signaling and what's acceptable to say and blah 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 blah. But when it comes to money, there's no politics. There's no virtue signal when it comes to money. And if you just follow money flows, you're going to be much more informed about how people actually feel about a lot of these things.
Well, man, it's definitely going to keep on getting worse and worse and worse. I don't see this becoming any better anytime soon, but we'll definitely keep an eye on it. I just wanted to mention everything I mentioned today because I did the work, but there's a lot of irony there. There's a lot of fucking irony, as in our Mark Carney himself is not investing his fucking money in Canada. That right there should tell you, this tells me everything I need to know about investing money in Canada, because that guy doesn't care about politics. When it comes to investing his money, he can say whatever. He can push climate change to us all you want, but at the end of the day, he wants to make money. He don't give a fuck if it needs to be invested in Indonesia somewhere because there's a new type of sandals. They're gonna change the fucking world. He does not give a fuck. Right?
Big sandal.
Big sandal. There's a pair of sandal out of Indonesia that's gonna rival Crocs.
No,
it's not true. I'm talking out of my ass, obviously.
Nothing can rival Crocs. Nothing.
Oh no.
New Dog Production says steel and aluminum from Canada is moving to Pennsylvania thanks to a few billion in investments secured by Trump. Yeah, I mean it's a game, it's a competition. And at the end of the day, these companies are going to go wherever makes the most sense, whichever is the most business friendly environment, and that is that's one thing we need to be very careful about here in Canada, because US is just next door. Canada's probably more competitive compared to most European countries, but we're not really competing with many European companies, because if you're over there, you're not going to come all the way over here. But for us, it's very easy, especially, the vast majority of Canadian manufacturing is right on the border, right? Southern Ontario. It's literally a hop, skip, and a jump away. So yeah, we can't
skip and a jump away.
Hop, skip, and a jumping away. That's right. But we can. But we can.
I feel so Canadian right now.
we can't let ourselves get too Europeanized and start thinking that's the way to go. Maybe that works for them over there, and I don't even think it does. But let's just say it does. That thing is not going to work here, because companies have a place to go just down south, and America is fundamentally more business friendly than Canada, and it always is going to be by at least a little bit. But if we let that gap, the further we let that gap widen, the more companies are just going to say, fuck it, what are we doing here? And Donald Trump is aggressive. He's going after those companies. He's giving them incentives. And that's like when New Dog says investments. That's what they mean. They mean incentives, tax breaks. Hey, come over here and we'll give you interest-free financing to build your plant and those kind of things, right? Like it's very enticing to a lot of these companies.
There's do you remember when Trump said that he would put a tariff on iPhones? And then iPhone is like, hey, we're going to invest $500 million in the US to develop our manufacturing of cell phones and devices in the US. Yeah. That's what Trump is doing. And, it's not only Trump that can do that. We're supposed to have supposedly we elected a fucking economic genius that was supposed to save us. Yet, once again, we're going to talk about the ships that they ships that they shipped to China instead of buying them here. The ship that they shipped.
The ships.
But that was the perfect opportunity to just take some of that $1 billion, invest it in Canadian company, make 0% loan to those companies so that they can develop manufacturing right here. Maybe become competitive on the world stage, or at least be able to supply our own fucking ships without giving our money to the Chinese. There's so many ways that he can actually help, yet like the EV mandate being another one. Talk about shooting yourself in the foot.
Bad. That's so
like
bad.
The top three manufacturers of cars in Canada, the top 3 CEOs of those manufacturing are like, what the fuck are you doing, bro?
Yeah.
And so it seems that it's really, I don't know what it's going to take for the people on the left to wake up to see that he's saying one thing on one side, and then on the other side, he does something completely different. Like elbows up on one side, on the other side is like, fuck you, my money's not staying in Canada.
Yeah. Well, that shit doesn't get reported by CBC or CTV, right? They just don't hear about it.
They never make the connection. That's the thing. And you know what? That's the worst part. Even when I look at a Jasmine Lane, she doesn't make those connections either. If I look at Mark Nixon as well, like a lot of the guys that are massive content creators don't normally make those connections either. And it's unfortunate, because with the size of audience that they have, they should be making those connections, because you cannot tell me that you're surprised if you have a guy that will not invest money here. And then we literally heard 2 weeks ago that he doesn't invest his money in Canada, that he does it in the US. And then turns out that Statistic Canada is telling us that the money's leaving Canada to go to the US. Mark Carney did it. You know that before he became prime minister, he moved most of his money to the US, right? They moved a bunch of shit to the US. So he is exactly who Statistic Canada is talking about. And yet people are just like, yeah, no problem. You know what? Let's become more self-reliant, but as long as we stand up to the big bad orange man, we're okay.
Well, yeah, it's like we're saying, politics, money doesn't have politics. People are going to invest where they genuine. That's where you see what people really feel is where they put their money. And Carney to be invested 95% in America.
That tells you.
Yeah, it tells you what he really thinks.
Guys, by the way, if you're on X, make sure to like, make sure to comment, make sure to share the reshare the stream. But as you see right here at the bottom right of the screen, the conversation is really happening on YouTube. So if you want to be part of the conversation, if you want to reshape this show to what you want to see, make sure to join us on YouTube at the Poli Orphans. Before I bring Jeff Evely, because I see he showed up. What's going on, bro? I want to ask you guys a question. We had started a Discord server, which is a pain in the ass to maintain. It's complicated. Most people don't like that shit, me included. Now, but I do have a question because we had the founder of Freedom Chat last week. His platform eventually will become paying. You'll have to pay for it. So I don't know if it's the best place for us to have a channel on. But I wanted to ask you guys out there, and even if you're not on the live stream right now, you can leave a comment later. But what is the application that you guys use to follow people that have channels outside of traditional social media where they can share the content that they can't share on YouTube, they can't share on Instagram, they can't share on other platforms? So do you use WhatsApp? Do you use Telegram? Do you use Signal? What's the platform that you guys use? Because I need to look into it, because it's not hard to create a channel. It's super simple, not complicated at all. So I just want to know what you guys are using, and we'll use that platform, because we definitely want to keep that conversation going 24/7. And it seems that Discord is a wah, wah. So we'll find something else that is easier for the people out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Anything to add to this?
No. You cover pretty much everything, guys. If just to add on, if you do want to support the show, if you believe in what Nico and I are doing here, you want to be part of this community, you can become a member. For the low price of $2.99 per month, you get to support independent journalists like us. And independent
journalists.
Media.
Now
yeah,
I
media.
feel dirty.
Yeah, it's a dirty word, right? Dirty word.
Now I feel dirty.
All right,
Jeff Evely, what is going on, kind sir?
Hey,
What's
Jeff,
up?
how's it going?
Hey guys, going good. How you doing?
Not too bad.
Good. Yeah. Jeff, Rob, Jeff.
How's
we
it going,
already know each other, so
nice to meet
he's
you. He's
also a baldy, so you fit right in with the baldies.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Just a couple of three ball guys shooting the shit.
Yeah, we got a bunch of bald, bearded, beautiful bros on
That's
board
right.
Today. Yeah,
Jesus,
couple of beauties.
Bald beautiful bros. Man, that's the triple B's.
Yes, nice.
I like to alliterate.
Bald. Funny enough, I was added to the Justice Center for Constitutional Freedoms news releases, because we've had John Carpe on the show 3 times in the past month or so. He's kind of becoming our constitutional lawyer for all the problems that we're seeing with the bills that are trying to be passed. And I got an email last week showing you. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm going to reach out to Jeff and see what's going on. So if you want to break it down for our audience,
tell us
what's going on, man.
Well, I mean, as you can see, I attended the trucker convoy January, February 2022. 18 February was the day that they brought in the big crackdown, and I was running the shift schedule for the veterans who were standing on guard for thee at Canada's National War Monument after we took down the fence that Jim Watson had put up to smear the convoy as peeing on the monument or something like that. Of course, none of us ever believed any of that stuff, but to appease the Ottawa police services, we said that we'd put somebody on that monument 24/7 in order to keep the fence down, just to assuage any of their concerns about patriots peeing on the monument. I naturally ended up with the early shift, being the guy running the schedule. So I was going in for my 4 a.m. shift, and the police had cordoned off like the entire downtown. And we had been in touch with the liaison officers every single day. Like, we were coordinating with them. I was going by, and they said, basically, that I couldn't go to the war monument. And I was like, yes, I can. I'm going for my shift schedule. Check with your liaison officer. We've been doing this now for weeks. And she said, no, you can't go up there. And I was like, well, yes, I can. And so I just kept going. And they told me to stop. I defied that illegal order by giving chase, and went down quite easily, you know, once it was clear, like the arrest was being effected. I never had any doubt about that, and I didn't put up any kind of a fight or anything like that, but I just wanted to make sure that I satisfied my own duty to defy illegal orders before I did go down. So that's kind of what happened in a nutshell. And I was charged with mischief and obstructing as a result of that. Eventually, I was found guilty at the initial trial, and we were just seeking an appeal last week, but the appeals court denied us the new trial that we were requesting. Chris Fleury is my JCCF provided lawyer, by the way, and he's excellent. Now, coming out of that, it's kind of more of the same that I saw from the initial decision. Like, the language being used in the courtroom was about an illegal protest and an occupation. They were making reference to the fact that the Emergency Measures Act was invoked, so things must have been really serious. You know, those of us who were there, of course, know that that was all of a fraud, and that was the most peaceful demonstration of you know, true patriot love I think I've ever seen in my entire life. But they're still, I might as well be getting tried by the CBC. That's how I feel when I'm in Ottawa courtroom.
Wow, zing! That's good.
I mean, it's hard not to notice the difference in just the zeal or that they are going after people of certain, for example, Tamara, Lich, yourself, you know,
Exactly.
there's other people that are in the news lately. When you've got other people who are committing crimes that are maybe, you know, if it's a violent crime, especially if you are, you know, of the right identity group, you know, you're out on bail for your fifth time. Doesn't matter if you killed someone. Doesn't matter. You know, you get all the protection. It's almost like they reluctantly charge and prosecute other people. But when it comes to right wing or not even really, but at least political causes they can place in the right wing, then you can tell they relish it. They get off on it in a way that you don't see with anyone else. And it's hard not to notice that.
It's impossible to notice it when you're sitting in the witness box.
Yeah, I can imagine. I just mean as someone on the outside looking in, but if you're on the inside, I'm sure you feel that every day that you're subjected to this.
I do. And what I would say in terms of the zeal, because I think you really hit that nail on the head. That's what I was saying to Chris as well. And I did make this juxtaposition when I was retweeting the article from the JCCF too. I mean, just in the last couple of weeks, we had a guy arrested for trying to pay a 15-year-old in a hotel room for the girlfriend experience.
Yeah, we covered this story.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And I said something to the effect of, you know, I can't help but feel I would have gotten a more favorable outcome if I were engaged in that kind of behavior, as opposed to going to Canada's National War Monument wearing my war medals to
as a veteran, no less. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Unreal.
Full medals, everything. Yeah. So the thing about it is on the front, the zeal, the prosecutorial zeal front is. They're relying on case law precedent that was set during the convoy. Personally, I think that it's all bad. I think they're setting nothing but bad precedent, and it's highly inappropriate for them to be relying on these cases while they're still so fresh. One example would be Rumlewski, which is one that they relied on heavily. Now with Rumlewski, he was already inside the zone. It's a little bit different than my case, but you know, where I was on my way to the monument and he was inside the zone while they were clearing people, and he refused to leave and sat down, passive resistance, this kind of thing. So he got the same charges, mischief and obstructing. And he at the initial trial, he was found guilty of obstructing, but he was let off on the mischief. The Crown actually appealed that mischief charge got him convicted on the appeal, and he has since passed on, so he's no longer with us, I'm afraid. But his widow is pursuing further legal action through the Supreme Court on this matter. So to my mind, as a layperson, this appears to be a live controversy, and yet it is still the precedent that they were using to convict me. So yeah, I think that that's probably the result of the kind of prosecutorial zeal that you're talking about, and it's ideological, clearly.
So you're, correct me if I'm wrong here, but obstructing, you're looking at a maximum of 2 years minus 1 day, and $5,000 fine. And you also said that you're accused of mischief, which can go to a maximum penalty of 10 years in prison if prosecuted by indictment, which I doubt that that's what happened to you. You're probably looking at what, a summary conviction, which is 2 years minus 1 day, right? Similar to what Tamara, Lich, and Chris Barber were originally looking at. But as per a post that she made yesterday, we're going to talk about it later on, or might as well fucking talk about it now. They're looking at 7 or 8 years now. So is that what you're looking at too?
No, I was already sentenced, and I got a year's probation. I can't protest in Ottawa during that probationary period, and I have to do 50 hours community service. But even the community service was sort of misapplied. Like, it's not supposed to be a punishment. It's supposed to be some kind of like character development thing. And I have
You're going to work at the CBC?
obviously. But we you know, just character reference. I provided character references, you know, at the initial trial, and they showed that I have been heavily engaged in community volunteering like my entire adult life. I had 12 years of coaching sports. I helped homeless veterans off the streets of Ottawa for my last three years in the military. Like, and somehow it seems that I just need to do, in addition to the like tens of thousands of hours I've already put in, I have to do another 50 in order to redeem myself. So I just find it's all very wrongheaded.
Did you see the new, because you were shaking your head since I'm pretty sure you're aware of this, but I wanted to talk about it, so I might as well get your opinion on it while you're here. But Tamara Lich posted, when was it? Yesterday? No, 2 days ago on Saturday, that we learned that last evening the Crown was submitted their materials to our legal teams for our upcoming sentence and hearing. They are seeking a 7-year prison sentence for myself and 8 years for Chris Barber.
That's wild. That is
wild. They haven't seen the documents. At least that's the last post on that matter that I saw from her. But what the fuck? Because you're a bright guy. We've spoken before, so I know who I'm dealing with here. But what the fuck is going on with Canada's justice system? Would you say that it's been weaponized against protesters?
Absolutely. It's
a certain kind of protester.
Well, yeah, and this
they're not going after the George Floyd protesters. I promise you that.
Absolutely not. You know, the George Floyd protesters were out there during lockdowns, and nobody said a damn word. And it's called liberating tolerance, as per Herbert Marcuse, who is one of the Marxist professors of the Frankfurt School. That, you know, and the Frankfurt School is kind of notorious for taking Marxism kind of to the next level, and it's really more about ideological subversion and institutional capture and these kinds of things these days than it is about any kind of like open conflict. So yeah, Herbert Marcuse wrote an essay, I think back in the 60s, where he talked about liberating tolerance, which to those of us who are not on the left is really more like repressive tolerance. Because it's carte blanche for left-wing causes with brutal repression for anything right-wing, or as you said, Robs, anything perceived as right-wing. Yep. I don't know that the convoy was necessarily a right-wing protest.
Yeah, that's why I made that correction. Yeah, it's not really, but I think they were able to place it in that box.
Anybody who stands up for the communist agenda.
Yeah,
it wasn't woke, right? So as soon as you're not woke, you're considered right now. So
yeah. You're like
I mean, I get that all the time. I am a liberal, but I'm a common sense one. I'm not woke, and I get called all the time right wing by other people on the left. So it's just, you know, if you're not ideologically pure, you know, if you're not one of us, you're one of them.
It is that it's a tribe. It's a political
Absolutely.
tribe, and I would recommend Yale professor Amy Chua's book, Political Tribes, on this, where she, I think, quite effectively makes the case that politics is tribal, and the communists know it. This is exactly what they did in Venezuela, where they have a white minority, but a white market dominant minority. This is another important piece too, is that humanity essentially hates market dominant minorities, and what Hugo Chavez did is he got up there and he said, you know, my skin is dark, my lips are big, this kind of thing. So he would relate to the majority Venezuelan population, who were a mix of Amero-Indian and Black. And that's what he is he's a mixed race Amero-Indian Black guy. And so he got up there in front of everybody and made it all about race. And now we have this like socialism, which really plays to the tribal impulse in humans in Venezuela. And as you can see, it's absolute devastation.
Here's a comment that I'd like to get your opinion on. Carly Hamilton is saying it has definitely been weaponized against Tamara, Lich, and Chris Barber. They've also made Canadians afraid to protest about anything, and therefore can do anything they want without fear of reprisal. So the question I have for you is, will that stop you from protesting in the future?
I was a co-organizer for the 1 million March for Children.
Lobbing up softballs here. Here you go.
I know Jeff, right? I know what the answer is.
Yeah.
You guys don't. I'm just
like they say,
I'm introducing Jeff.
Like they say about lawyers, no good lawyer asks a question he doesn't already know the answer to. But go ahead, Jeff.
So I haven't let it stop me. I've been all over the protest scene in the last couple of years. I've been a little quiet on that scene lately because I'm dealing with this and other court cases. I kind of saw that key battle space shifting from the cultural into the legal, and then it was in the political, and I ran in the last election. Now I'm just tying up some loose ends with the election and the some of these court cases that I have, but I want to get back into the cultural battle space because I see it's kind of shifted back there now. And I was a co-organizer nationally for the 1 million March for Children. I ran the counterintelligence cell for them during the lead up, and I was lead marshal at the Toronto protests. So that's just one example of many protests that I've been involved with, even since the convoy. And that one, I think, was bigger. Like nationally, we probably had 1.5 million, according to our CEO. So yeah, I'm not letting that slow me down at all. I mean, I think the key to this thing, it's like it's just like when you're standing up to a bully, when you're standing up to a tyrant, because at the end of the day, that's what a tyrant is. He's a bully, and as you can see, they're just as insecure as you would expect. But when you're standing up to a bully, there's two things that you got to do. Number one, talk to him like he's nothing. You don't give him any respect, any deference, not one bit, not whatsoever. And number two, because he's just going to see it as weakness. Number two, always double down. So whatever he's doing to you, you just do it right back to him. And I lean into these things. So when they're coming after me and trying to shut me down for engaging in protest, I protest even harder. And I think that's how we win.
Yeah, that's I think that's an excellent answer to that. And just to add on, I think to this comment from Carly, and I think it's important to get this point out for anyone who is, whether you're a classical liberal like myself or on the right, or you just really support free speech and you're involved in these sorts of protests, is much of these things. And you know, we were talking to John Carpe, and one thing that keeps coming up is the process often is the punishment. Now, you're somewhat in a unique position where they actually have gone through with charges and you've got a conviction. A lot of times they don't go that far, right? They just, the process becomes a punishment. Maybe after a 12 months investigation, you've spent $20,000 on lawyers, barely gotten a good sleep at night because you're so stressed. Then they're like, oh, okay, we're going to drop charges. And then they can be like, hey, look, no harm, no foul. The charges were dropped, right? But I think that's exactly what Carly was getting to. And she followed up with that. She says, I think it has stopped a lot of people. And I think she's right. But it is encouraging to see that there's also another personality type who, when they get this kind of treatment, that makes it worse. That for them, like these people double down, like yourself. And it's really encouraging to see that there are people like that out there.
Thank you. And yeah, I mean, just as an example, sort of what you're talking about too, we saw this with the mandates, and one of the court cases I'm involved in here in Nova Scotia is, before the convoy, I had been arrested twice for not wearing a mask and refused service multiple other times. And I submitted Nova Scotia human rights complaints for every time I was refused service and or arrested. And of course, they just said, yeah, go away. And I said, well, that's not good enough, and submitted a judicial review to bring them to take them to task, and now I'm having to appeal the results of that judicial review. But most of the people, I think, who got involved in that or who stood up to it at all, once they got that $2,600 fine, they were like, it's cheaper to pay this than to pay a lawyer. I self-represented, and that's what I've been doing. Yeah, you can absolutely do that. And, I'm not trying to pat myself on the back too hard here or anything like that, guys. But, we have a lot of really good tools out there that weren't available even just a few years ago. I have like ChatGPT for law. You can use Grok. You can use, any number. I run it through a bunch of AIs and see what I can come up with. That's not the finished product, of course. You can't really treat AI like that. But holy smokes. It's a powerful tool, man. It's a powerful tool. So,
yep.
What's next? So what's next for you, man?
Yeah. What do we got next?
So I have to have my next submissions for my appeal here in Nova Scotia with the Nova Scotia Human Rights Commission in at the end of the month. Also at the end of the month, I have to have some paperwork in to wrap up my election experience out here in Nova Scotia. And then I have a date for my appeal here in Nova Scotia, 8 October. I should have my election finance stuff like wrapped up by then. And then I want to get back into podcasting, social influencing, this kind of thing, because that's really what I was doing post convoy. I did a lot of podcasting. I miss doing it. I find that it's therapeutic. It helps to just talk about this stuff and kind of get it out there. And people have been asking me like, hey, when are you coming back? Like they seem to be hungry for this kind of content. And of course, I bring a bit of a unique perspective on things, just with my life's experience in the military and so forth. So I think I'm going to go back hard into the cultural battle space. And I just post-election actually had all of my paperwork set up. We have a new Nova Scotia East PPC Association all stood up here. So I have all kinds of things on my plate, perpetually biting off more than I can chew. So this isn't the last of me.
You got to keep busy, right?
Yeah. That's right.
Question from Angry Kane. Does Jeff have a YouTube channel?
I do. Yeah, you can definitely
promote it. Go ahead. Yep.
I don't know. It's just kind of my personal YouTube that I've had.
Oh, I got you. No worries.
Yeah. So you can find me there. It's Jeff Evely. I'm not hiding from anybody.
It's mostly Jeff without a shirt on doing weird shit. So Angry Canadian, who knows if you want to go there or not.
It's mostly a backup channel for all the live streaming I did for Veterans for Freedom. So I streamed everything there too. And if you want to go back and look at my content and see what I've said about anything, it's all there.
Yeah. Let me know when you do start doing some podcasts again. I'm working on something for kind of rebuild the conservative movement.
Yeah,
more conservative people. So let me know, and we'll figure something out between the two of us, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Take this question there before we sign off. Bumpy says, "What's Jeff's opinion on Bernier remaining the PPC leader and saying he wants to lead the party for another 10 years? Do they feel that would be better as an independent candidate in the future?" And feel free to be like, "No, I'm not going to touch this one with a 10-foot pole either."
Yeah, I mean, everything's still a little bit too fresh, I think, for me to give any meaningful comment on that. What I would say is that Maxime Bernier has been an absolute breath of fresh air since he founded the PPC. He's the only guy who's shown any courage or integrity throughout this entire process, through the whole ordeal of the last several years. He's a real warrior. I got mad respect for Max. I was just talking to him a couple of weeks ago. And I think that there are some lessons to be taken from our election results here recently. I think it would be foolish of us to just sort of chalk it up to external factors. Although the external factors were incredibly strong, no doubt about it. They ran a fear and hatred based campaign on the whole uniparty did that, and it worked. So I think that is the key driving factor, but also there are some lessons that we can learn, for ourselves as well to be a better party in the future. And I have plenty of confidence that Max is is going to be going in that direction as well.
Yeah, you got great comments. Oh, Nico, your mic, you kind of had some quick mic problems, but says
fucking
as what?
platform.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah, all I was saying is thanks for being here, man. Let me know when you do start recording again. You and I will talk. We'll figure something out, and
Absolutely.
we appreciate your time. Let me know. Hit me up when you have an update.
Love to have you back on, Jeff. There's
Yeah,
obviously a lot of things
anytime,
I'd like
guys.
to. Yeah, I'd love to dig in some things, but we gotta keep it short a little bit. But
No worries.
appreciate you coming on the time. Also one blue noter to another. Always nice to see you. I grew up in Halifax as well, so it's always great to see another
mainlander.
That's right.
Yeah, right on.
Yeah.
And you know what? Like Atlantic is very tough territory out here for anybody. I would say classical liberal is a right. That's what I consider myself as well. That is a right wing political position. So
I agree, 100%.
Unfortunately,
it's pretty tough out here for us. So we got to stick together.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
See you later, brother.
Guys.
Peace,
Thanks,
brother.
guys.
Bye.
Wow,
There
great
you
guy.
have it.
Great guy.
Oh, I told you, man. He knows what he's doing.
Quality guest. I think if we had, I'd have people like that on the show every single day.
Very
Doesn't even matter what they're
researched.
talking about. Doesn't mean he could have been talking about anything, and you can just tell someone who's just engaging like that. Love having those conversations.
So, what'd you guys think in the comment section? What'd you think of Jeff? Did you know Jeff? Was it the first time you heard about him? Because I've recorded with him before.
Yeah, it was me.
There was a comment somewhere. Where the hell did the comment go? Why am I seeing comments on the left that I'm not seeing on the right? That's very interesting. Purple Magic. It's coming from X. Purple Magic saying, "The bald and the beautiful." Yeah, you guys should do a show together. Yeah, I'm working on something right now.
That would be a great show. The bald and the beautiful.
So who's the beautiful? Because we're both
right.
bald. We're both what should it be? The ugly, the bald, and the beautiful.
Yeah.
We don't say who's who.
It'll change by the day.
Yeah. Yeah. But how'd you guys like him?
I mean, I got a feeling like I think that there's a lot of comments coming for him. I think I got a feeling like the viewers there. I think the chat liked him a lot. I liked him a lot. I just know all the time in the world for that kind of guy. No nonsense, straight shooter. I think the moment we're in, guys like that are going to be a linchpin. And I think there's inspiration you can take from that. We talked a little bit there about how the process often is a punishment. And it does, as who was it, Carly Hamilton said, I think it has stopped a lot of people. Undoubtedly it has. It for sure does. For most people, and we've talked about this before, most people don't care about politics and they don't want to care. They want to live their lives with as little government interference as possible. Sometimes government interference makes it so you can't ignore that. You have to go out there. But when they start slapping $6,000 fines, there's a lot of people who are gonna be like, I'm just not gonna go. I'm not gonna deal with it. But that's exactly what they want, and that's exactly why they do it, and that's exactly why people like Jeff are so crucial. And when I say people like Jeff, I just mean people who, when they get thrown that kind of shit, they don't back down, they double down. And I think there's there's been we've talked a lot about this fourth turning, right? You've heard that meme quote, right? And I'm sure I'll fuck it up, but it's like weak times. Weak men create hard times. Hard times create strong men. Yeah, maybe you probably know.
Hard times create strong men. Strong men create good times. Good times create weak men. Weak men create hard times.
That's right. And when you see guys like Jeff, that's what they mean by a hard man. It doesn't necessarily mean a guy that's going around kicking everyone's ass, although I'm sure he could do that too. But just guys who go out there and do what needs to be done, regardless of consequences.
This is. During COVID, I realized that I would stand up for my rights no matter what it meant. And I'm kind of happy that happened because it showed something about me. Now those things, like he's saying, 100. No, it exposes. It wasn't building. It was already there. I just didn't know.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's easy to say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that outside of the situation when you're not being hit with something, when your livelihood is not in peril. And I
Yep.
just said, you know what? Fuck you all. I'm going to trust my gut on that one. And I love guys like Jeff because those are people that I know. Again, I've said this before, but the zombie team, right? That's a guy I'd have on my zombie apocalypse team because I
Oh
know
yeah. You're in a
I
trench with
know.
that guy. Yeah.
Oh, I'd go to war with a guy like
Well,
him.
you know,
because-
and you know what? As an ex-military guy myself, one thing that stood out for me, and I think a lot of people might miss this, but you remember he was talking about they were doing shifts at the memorial,
Yep.
right? And he said I was the one doing the shift list, and he was the one that was up 4 a.m. And like right away,
that's
I
how
was
it-
like,
that's
I was like,
leadership right there.
like that's a leader. Because in the military, you see it all the time. You know, it's a small thing, but man, I'm telling you, you're out there on winter exercise, it's minus 30. You don't want to get up at 2 a.m. And the guy making the list very often gives himself the nice cushy shift at 8 p.m. to 10 p.m., right? And all the other guys. And that's a small thing, but it shows character. And I'm sure Jeff didn't even think about that. But there are leaders in the military who do that. The doo-doo. Yeah, I see you smiling. You know, it's the guys that lead from the front. I'm gonna, we got to do something hard, but I'm gonna be right there with you. And I'm telling you, in the military, and not just military, anywhere where there's leadership, those guys, you'll follow those guys. You charge with those guys into a machine gun nest. You'll follow those guys into war, and that jumped out at me right away.
Yeah, it's a good dude. He's definitely a good dude. We just need to find a way to bring him back. You know, he's like a Jason from the US too, right? You know that
Yeah.
there's specific things you can bring him back whenever you need him. We need to figure out the same thing for Jeff because
100%.
he's a great
well,
asset.
Even when he was talking about how he was like, yeah, I'd like to get more podcasts. I was thinking like, I don't want, I don't like just fucking fondling guys' balls and shit, but I'm thinking like, he's good at it. Like that's a strength of his. You can tell just
he
by
does it all the
watching, right?
time.
Yeah,
he does it all the time. I've recorded for hours on live events with him. It's just it's fun to have somebody that's extremely knowledgeable and that has that knowledge on the tip of their fingers.
Yep.
Right.
100%.
So very cool, dude.
Joe Stradamus, as he says, I will always listen to guys like that, even while disagreeing with 100% positions. It's good to know how people get there. Yeah, and that's a great point, Joe. Like, you don't have to agree with all his positions. You can even disagree with every single one, but like, he's a guy that carries himself with respect, and he will respect you. And guys like that, they don't even need to demand respect; they just get it. And I think, as you said, Joe, whether you agree or disagree, a guy like that always has a place to talk, at least on a show like this, where we value that, right? Value the argument above all else.
And unlike us, he doesn't swear. If you notice, he's very he's very good.
Maybe there's a lesson to be learned.
Hey Jeff, if you're still there, fucking pussy.
Fucking Boy Scout.
Pussy, Jeff.
Yeah.
No, but he's a great guy. I'm happy that I was able to reach out to him and get him on the show.
I'd have him back any day.
I told you last week you'd like him. I knew you would. He's just a great dude. So.
One thing, we obviously only had so much time and we couldn't get into everything, but he was talking about he wanted to get back into some culture war issues because he feels the tide's turning. I really want to get his take on that too. Maybe next time we'll ask him, but because that's something that's one of the themes of this show. With this is that vibe shift here. Like it's still obviously a woke dominated society, but for the first time in the past year or so, you're really starting to see pushback against that. And I think it's only going to pick up steam from here.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yep.
So let's switch to the next topic.
Yes.
This is one I was absolutely laughing my ass off when I saw that this morning, but it's been reported that there are 23 Quebec companies that are suing the federal government for $300 million over the temporary foreign worker program because new rules are starting to be put in place now. From last year, they're becoming effective now, but there's 23 Quebec companies that are suing the federal government for $300 million. Listen to this one.
Businesses that make everything from steel products to winter jackets and airplane parts say temporary foreign workers are essential to stay afloat. But now that Ottawa is pushing to reduce the number of permits it issues, employers are upset.
The federal government from 2021 to 2024 has said to those enterprise, you can count on foreign workers as much as you like. And all of a sudden, they decided to flip the table and say, well, forget about that. I mean, we're changing the rules.
Bérard is representing 23 Quebec companies who launched a $300 million lawsuit against the federal government to cover their losses.
The federal government obviously is killing, some very important, vital part of our economy.
The changes were put in place after growing pressure from Quebec and some conservative organizations who argue Canada can't sustain such massive temporary immigration.
300,000.
What I like about this, though, I'm just stopping it in the middle here, but they're suing Ottawa, not the provincial government of Canada, but CTV News that reported this story keeps on going to the provincial government. It's like, what the fuck does one have to do with the other? This is a federal issue, yet up to now, they're going to, starting now, they're going to talk about the provincial government. I'm like, you said Ottawa. You said the federal government, not the Quebec government. So it's like, oh, no, we can't talk bad about Carney, so we need to be very careful. Let's accuse Legault that we don't like, which is the guy you're seeing there. But how funny is it that it's a federal issue? Immigration is a massively federal issue, although provinces will have a say, like you see in Quebec and Daniel Smith's trying to do in Alberta. But still, right now, federal issue, yet they're talking about provincial now.
Yeah, that's funny, eh? Interesting how that is.
They know exactly what the fuck. You don't bite the hand that feeds you.
No, exactly. And it's funny as I'm watching this, even when I'm looking at the the B-roll footage they have, they've got the guys doing pretty high techy jobs, the kind of jobs that actually are.
Hold on. keep that in. Keep that in. Let's finish the video, then we'll talk about that. But right now, yes, you are correct that they're showing the very high skill.
They're not showing guys pouring coffees at Tim Hortons, but that's who's actually getting these fucking permits, really.
Hold on. Let's finish the video.
Additional people. So of course it has a major impact on services.
But Quebec business groups say restricting the number of temporary workers means they can't fill vacant positions, which affects their output and may even force some of them out of business.
These companies either have to slow down production, refuse contracts, and in certain cases, they will even close down certain shifts. We can think of weekend shifts, night shifts, because we can't find the workers that we need.
That's
no
bullshit.
one from the federal government was available to comment on the lawsuit today, but the businesses say it's an urgent matter, because with each passing month, they're losing money and the ability for stability if they don't have the workers to do the jobs.
Well, there you have it.
Man. Wow.
It's to put it into perspective before you go on a rant here.
Because I got some rants. But you go ahead first.
I can see. I'm just gonna provide facts before you go into it.
Sure. Yeah.
So what they're complaining about is there's three things they're complaining about. It's wage increases, which the government is saying that they will need to add 20% on the median salary of that specific profession. They are also complaining about the new hiring caps, meaning that as per September 26, 2024, most sectors now have a cap of 10% of the numbers of low-wage positions held by temporary foreign workers compared to the 20% that it was before. And the other thing that they're complaining about is something called LMIA, the market. What was it? Shit.
That's the one. That's the one where they have to make the case that there's no Canadians that will do that bullshit.
Yes.
Yeah.
It stands for labor market.
Something analysis. Impacted. Yeah. Okay. That's right.
So this is exactly what you're saying. So basically, one of the new rules is that the new federal policy refuses low-wage LMIA application in census metropolitan area with 6% or more unemployment rates. So basically, they will not allow companies to even provide, or they won't even look at a labor market impact assessment in an area where the unemployment rate is more than 6%, as in you need to hire Canadians. And this is what the question is at the end of the day, right? Because I posted about this morning, and that's the question. Are they really looking out for Canadians, and Canadians don't want to fill those jobs? Or is it cheaper to simply hire foreign workers and they just want to continue paying less for their workers than they would do if they were to hire Canadians? Because at the end of the day, however you feel about the issue, this is the question that needs to be asked, and that's the question that needs to be answered.
Yeah, 100%. So like, there's a couple things going on here. First of all, like that story, that's actually a great example.
Thanks, Sylvie. Thanks, Sylvie, by the way. It's Sylvie that sent me.
Sylvie?
I gotta
Sylvie,
give.
yeah.
Yeah.
Sylvie's giving us some good stuff here.
We've
been doing a lot of stories that have been recommended by Sylvie, but actually a great example of how how the audience can influence the content of the show.
And she also supplied the list. She found the list of the 23 companies, and I just posted it in.
Oh, interesting.
I just posted it as 25 fucking comments, I guess. I've never done that before, but you can see in the YouTube channel right now, right there, I posted the 23 companies that are suing the government, and the name of the guy, the lawyer, is Frédéric Bérard. So if you feel like reaching out, telling him that he should work for Canadians instead of working for foreign workers, well, here's the name of the guy. So there you go. My job's done.
Yeah. So it's funny. I'm watching that show, and that's actually, was that CBC that covered that? CTV?
If I remember correctly, it was CTV, because I took it from their website. Technically,
whatever it was,
on YouTube, but I took
you can tell it's geared to push the narrative. First of all,
of course,
they're making, at the end of the day, what the overall point of the story is to say they're trying to get rid of. Yeah, CTV News is trying to say they're trying to get rid of this immigration program that's good for Canada. This program is good for Canada. And, they're showing high-tech companies. They're showing high-tech workers of the type that you actually, there is a point to this program. There are some very specific circumstances when Canada just might not have as many work. So, I mean, first of all, this should only be temporary. If we don't have, say, enough coders, okay, bring in as many as you need to for the first couple of years, but at the same time, invest in university programs to get more coders out there. So this has to be temporary. But what they didn't show in B-roll is, fucking brown guys working at Tim Hortons, at McDonald's, at Walmart, and that is by far the most common use of this. Yeah, of this program. So right there,
hospitality, it's restaurant, hotels, manufacturing, and retail. Those are the four things that I could find this morning where those people are being.
It's that old bait and switch, right?
I don't mean it as those people, but just those foreign workers.
You people.
But the foreign workers are basically four places: restaurant, hotel, manufacturing, and retail.
And they didn't show any of that. They show they're making it seem like, and of course all the people there were white that they were showing. Again, it's very subtle. It's very subtle. The best propaganda is propaganda you don't know is propaganda, right? Because it's indirect. You're not really sure. It's just it's painting a narrative, and the problem here is that what they're talking about is not really the problem. The problem is bringing in enormous numbers of people to do menial jobs, of which there are many Canadians willing to take those jobs. But this program also includes the government paying for half of their salary. So they're going to bring in all kinds of people to work these low-skilled, low-wage jobs just because they get half of it paid. They're not going to hire your 16-year-old son to work at Tim Hortons and pay him $16 an hour when they can hire Vivek Patel from India and pay him $8 an hour because the government, i.e. me and you, are paying the other $8 per hour. So right away, they're not even really talking about the issue. Go ahead.
Let me stop you right there because this is not true. I've said it before. I said what you just said right now. I could not find any proof this morning when I actually searched for it.
That
There's
pays? Okay.
there's no direct subsidies
Okay.
showing that the government is paying.
There is some sort of sub. Yeah, I mean, and I appreciate the correction. I'll try to find that out.
I've said it myself before, and I couldn't find it this morning because obviously that's a point I was going to bring up. But as I'm doing research for it, it came from a post from a credible source that both you and I probably believed.
Yep.
And I just want to mention that I'm not saying that it's false. I'm just saying that when I was looking for it this morning, I could not find something that is provided by the federal government. That doesn't mean that it's false.
Okay.
Just means that normally I want to find information somewhere, and the government is not shy about posting those things normally. So
yeah,
I
no, and that's
could not find
great.
it this morning.
Yep. No, we're you know, at this show, what we care most about is just getting it right. So I appreciate the correction. But you know, just a lot of the arguments, they bring in the expert to say, no one's doing the job, and so what they're going to do if we don't bring in these employees, they'll just shut down work, they'll cancel a shift, and blah blah blah. No, they won't. You know, this is the same argument that you hear all the time in the States, like, oh, who's going to pick your crops? Americans won't pick those crops. And you know what? It's the same argument that they made when they were going to free the slaves. Who's going to pick our cotton? How are we going to, you know what? It's not that there's no one willing to do those jobs. There are Americans willing to pick fruit. There are not Americans willing to pick fruit for slave wages. So what you have to do
There you go.
is beef up the wages to pay a living wage. And then you will find that there are people willing to do the job. People who say, oh, someone won't do that job. Okay, you tell me they won't fill that for $200 an hour? Of course they will, right? So somewhere between $0 and $200 an hour, there is a dollar amount that people will go and pick fruit. So now you got to do is you have to, if you're as an employer, you have to find that dollar amount, see what the market is paying, and then whatever, and it's not going to be near $200 an hour. It might be 20, it might be 25, but that's how the market works. That's how the labor market works. That's how it's supposed to work. What they're doing when they bring in these low income, low skilled wages, is they are artificially depressing the market. Yeah, of course, there's not going to be many Americans willing to pick crops for minimum fucking wage, but that's because it's not really a minimum wage job. It shouldn't be. It's hard fucking work. Those guys should be getting paid $20, $25, maybe $30 an hour. And if that bumps up the price on apples or produce by fucking 10 cents an apple, then that's also how the market works, and we will all pay it. That's how it works. And if the apples are too expensive that nobody will buy them, then I guess apples are not a viable product in the market. But of course, that's not true. There are people that will work at proper wages, and there are people that will pay for whatever the cost of apples are. So all of these arguments are, and at the end of the day, it's not really an economic argument. All they're trying to do is get back to the open borders immigration is always a good thing narrative. That's all they're trying to do. They're like, immigration is what they want, open borders immigration. And there's many different government programs that they're using to get to that. One of them is the temporary foreign worker program. And people, and even if they close this loophole, because it has become a loophole, there will be other ways. But it's important to push back on this everywhere we see it.
I'm happy that you mentioned that, because during my research this morning, I found 4 other programs for temporary workers that are not called temporary workers program. So you do have the temporary foreign worker program, but you also have one is called hire a temporary foreign worker, but without the
LMIA. See,
it shows you how to do it. It's saying you might need to do one, but it seems that there's a way. And right now I'm on the Canada.ca. I'm on the official federal government website, but there is a way, it seems like, to hire a worker. That's a title of a fucking article. There is a worker. Hold on, look at this. Yeah. Then you have work as an international student or recent graduate, because you know that they basically automatically get a worker visa.
Yep.
Then you have another one that's related to students work or live in Canada after you graduate. I don't know if you knew this, but there is a process that people can apply to, and I think they can stay between 2 to 3 years in order to stay in Canada after they graduated. They can apply for jobs. They can find somebody to sign their stay. Basically, you apply for a job and they like you, they will apply for the government to keep you here. And look at the fees, $255. That's like
Nothing.
fucking peanuts.
Nothing.
And then you have another one that is called Work and Travel in Canada with International Experience Canada. If you're 18 to 35, 18 to 30 in some countries, come work and travel in Canada through International Experience Canada. It's a government program designed for you.
Ooh,
So,
not Canada though. It's wild.
It's not for Canadians, but yeah, but that's my point, right? You look, it's such a fucking rabbit hole. You look at the temporary worker program, and then you're like,
It's
wait,
like 45
there's
other
more.
ones. Yeah, yeah. It's like
if that one doesn't work for
yeah,
you,
but
and
wait,
you don't
there's
want
more.
to
Yeah.
LMIA, try this one. Oh, have you thought about hiring an international person so they can travel?
Do you hate Canadians? Yes. Enter this program. Yeah, and it's it's interesting you bring up the LMIA because I feel like that's kind of the choke point. That's probably the best way to fix this problem. People like, the immigration issue on some levels, yeah, it's easy to say, oh, it's a complex problem. Sure it is, complex solutions, but in some ways we don't need to overcomplicate it. It's pretty clear to me that what's actually happening is the government is not actually taking the LMIA seriously. Because essentially what the LMIA is in order to get any temporary worker here, you need to demonstrate without beyond a shadow of a doubt that there are no Canadians willing to work at that job. And when we go out and we see every single worker across Canada has been a temporary worker from India that works at Tim Hortons, we know that there are Canadians who will take those jobs, right? Like without knowing anything else, you're telling no one believes what's the youth unemployment rate? 15, 20, 25% or something?
It was between 14 to 16%. I can find the exact number.
Yeah, I've got a 16-year-old son. He recently went on a job search. He eventually got hired at Sport Check, but all of the the Tim Hortons, and they don't even look at him. And to tell me that, oh no, Canadians don't want to work the jobs, that's dead wrong. And anyone who knows that or who lives here knows that. So when we see this, we don't even have to know exactly how they skirted that LMIA to know that they did it. And so if all the government did was just enforce the LMIA requirement and take it seriously, that alone would solve probably 80% of the problem. Because if that's the case,
13.5%.
Yeah,
for that's from 15 to 24.
Yeah, 13.5%. That's huge. And there's no reason why there should be even one temporary worker at a Tim Hortons, because there's no way that they would ever pass an LMIA assessment if the government took it seriously. It's just not plausible to make the case that there are no native Canadians. When I say native, I just mean people who are citizens, to work at Tim Hortons. That's absolute bullshit. Now, is there maybe some very high-tech jobs that we just don't have the expertise in yet? Yeah, I could believe that. But when you see it taking over at Tim Hortons, at Walmart, without knowing anything else, the system is being abused.
Once again, as much as Joe and I disagree on a lot of things, this is the type of stuff that it's nonpartisan. This is not a political thing at this point. I have no doubt there's been a concert effort in the Western world to destroy the working middle class. I agree. And from left, right, and it doesn't matter if it's the left or the right. No, they always attack the fucking middle class every time. Every time.
And I'm sort of always try to give benefit of the doubt. I'm regularly on the record here saying, like, I don't know if this was intentional, or I'm going to assume it's not intentional.
It is.
With this, I think it is. I've seen there's no other conclusion I can come to other than that this is intentional. And it is, it's because a middle class, a strong, thriving, healthy middle class is a threat to the ruling class, to the elites, right? They're hard to keep control of because they don't really, like, a healthy middle class doesn't need the government to survive. The government loves people who need need them, right? The government loves people who can't survive without the government assistance, because then they
Who
control
need
you.
them. Who do need them.
They do need them. Yes, correct. So we'll take a couple comments and then we'll move on here. But yeah, that was a great comment there by Joe. There's another one I liked here that he said, this is exactly why neither U.S. party did anything about immigration for many decades. Wage suppression, the destabilization of organized resistance against the tyranny of inherited wealth. Yeah, that's a great comment too. Now, I obviously, as a liberal myself, I agree with Joe on, more issues than you do. There are definitely some things that I don't, but this class war theme that Joe, constantly hits, I think that is right up on both of our alleys. I think both of us agree with a lot of the stuff he says on that, and that's an excellent comment. I think I think Joe hits the nail on the head there when he said it really isn't partisan. I think if you're not really involved in politics and just take a bird's eye view, you might be like, oh yeah, well, it's clear, especially in the US, the left, the Democrats are pro-immigration, the right is anti-immigration. That's not true. Many of the rank and file conservatives and Republicans are, but many of the establishment Republicans, the ones who are actually in charge, they like this shit too. And you mentioned last week that a lot of this explosion in immigration actually started in 2014 under Stephen Harper. And so it isn't just the left. The right has their own reasons for the capitalist class for wanting, unchecked, unfettered immigration. On the right, it's often about wage suppression and keeping wages down. That should be enough for the left to oppose it, because the left traditionally, historically, is opposed to value, labor. The working class is supposed to be one of the left's big constituencies. But they sold them out. They sold them out to virtue signal. The left does it to virtue signal their purity, their ideological purity, and immigration is one of the main things that they do it. But it's bad for all of us. It's good for the parties. It's bad for the country. And people on both sides need to start speaking out against it.
And New Dog production hits.
Good correction.
No, but he hits it on the head. This is exactly how I feel too. As somebody
100%.
from the right, American right isn't anti-immigration. They are anti-illegal immigration. We love immigrants who come in legally.
Great point.
I see it the same way in Canada. I see it the same fucking way in Canada. Over the weekend, I saw a video of this Mexican guy, like Mexican descent guy that immigrated to the US, and he's out there shoveling something. I think he's working at home on he's doing his own lawn. I know that sounds racist, but he was actually doing that. But the Mexican guy is, he's shoveling, and the wife is like, hey, have you checked your phone? Have you checked what I sent you? And he just became a citizen. So his wife sent him by text, hey, your citizenship was approved. You passed the test. You're now American. And he's crying. He's just sitting there looking at the shovel. He's like, yes, motherfucker. Yes, I'm fucking. And the caption is it's a very right-leaning outlet that posted that. And I'm becoming emotional because I'm looking at the guy and I'm like, this is what it's supposed to be. You should have that same feeling when you become Canadian. You should have that same feeling when you become American, that fuck yeah, I made it. Fuck yes, I'm gonna help this country be better.
And I'm gonna contribute. I'm going to contribute to the country that gave me this opportunity. That's a good correction, New Dog. And when I had said that, I was just referring to, if you just took a bird's eye view, that might be what you take.
The idea that you're being pushed is that the right hates it. Only the left likes immigration. The right hates illegal immigration. The left 100%. Likes illegal immigration. That is what they disagree on. Is the illegal part.
That's a good distinction there.
The left made up words like unreported, unregistered aliens. The right calls it an illegal.
Yeah. Well, the left, the left just the left changes words, and as the left tends to do, because changing the words changes the meaning. Oh, we can't call them fat anymore. They're obese. They're not illegal aliens. They're undocumented. You know what I mean? They're not homeless. They're unhoused. As if that changes anything, but that's the left for you. But that is a good comment by New Dog, because I think and I think anyone who's met any legal immigrants, those are among the most patriotic people in the country, whether you're Canadian or American, because they know what they came from, they know what they have, they went through a process, and you'll often find that they are among the biggest opposers of illegal immigration, because why wouldn't they be? They went through it the right way. They did everything right. And then to look to see these line jumpers and be like, well, that's just not right. That's not fair to come over here, jump the line, and then get all sorts of benefits that they are now paying because they're taxpayers. It's as you said, legal immigrants are the backbone of this society. And I think, on the right and the left, I think they are it's not controversial. Most people will say that they are needed, but the left will intentionally mix those arguments up. They'll say, oh, the right just hates all immigrants. And that's not true, of course. And they'll also say that the right hates them because it's about race and they're racist. And that isn't true either. It's about following the rules. By and large, conservative people who are people who are conservative just tend to be more supportive of laws. They value order more than people on the left.
They value freedom. They normally value freedom of speech, and they're going to value more the be left alone. Yeah. Like often the traditional left versus right is really the size of governments. How much government do you want? Do you want a lot of it, or do you don't want a lot of it? Normally that used to define the left and the right. Yep. Today, not so much, because both sides seem to want a lot of government control, but it used to be that. I see that our next guest, second guest on the same show.
Second guest of the day.
That is how we roll. That's how we roll here at the Political Orphans. But this is a woman that I met yesterday. We had the chance to speak in person in Montreal. She organized a protest, and I'm going to let her explain it because it's different. It was not a religious thing. It was just to protect the Quebec history, basically. But as we've spoken about this many times on the show before, where over the past few months, maybe year, every Sunday, there is a group of Muslims that will show up at the Notre Dame Basilica in Montreal, which is one of the oldest church in Canada. It is beautiful. If you ever have a chance to go in Montreal, go check out that church. It is absolutely stunning. But they are showing up to the parking right next to it, and with speakers, microphones, and they are praying. We all know what it means. We all know that it's a show of force. We know exactly what that means. While this next woman by the name of Mandana, Javan, she organized the protest yesterday. But what's interesting about her is that she is from Iran. So she knows firsthand what those type of force mean. And she's here to explain to us exactly why she did it. And at the end of the day, why does she care? What is going on? How you doing?
How are you? I'm doing
how's
well.
it going?
Very
nice seeing
good,
you again.
Very nice. Yeah,
it's great to see you.
Hi, how are you?
Great to have you on.
So we met yesterday. We spoke for a good 10 minutes. You seem to really understand what's going on in Canada because you guys in Iran have been dealing with it for a long time. And correct me if I'm wrong, but the protest that you organized yesterday was kind of a wake-up call to the Quebec people to say, or even Canadians to say, be careful what you wish for, because I know what comes next.
Exactly. Since 46 years, Iran is suffering from a theological state, but in the name of republic, and we can see, I think every Iranian here in the West, not just in Quebec or not just in Canada, we can detect the same signs that coming here little by little, but it's very constant. And we see that the intensity is getting higher and higher with years, specifically since October 2023. I think that this conflict in the Middle East gives some opportunities to these Islamist groups in order to impose these kinds of evangelist, proselytist practices in public spaces. And what was so shocking for us our people. We are some Iranians. We are very activist, and we are organizing manifestations, protests since 2 years and a half, at least twice per month for Women Life Freedom Movement. But what motivated us to organize this event? Because first of all, we saw how the police officers, they treated a women journalist over there, and how she was beaten. And after she was arrested because she's doing her job, taking pictures and videos from the people that choose, instead of doing their prayers in their mosque or in their private spaces, they're doing in the front of Basilic, they're doing in our streets, everywhere, all over the city. And she was doing her job, and it was devastating for us, because we can distinguish the signs. And this silence of politicians, of authorities, and of Quebecer peoples are people. This silence is very terrifying for us. The other thing that was very clear, it's that they are doing the Islamic prayers, collective prayers, which is in any holy book in Islam that you study, you're going to see the collective public prayers is the political means to impose, even to the Muslims who are not who are not practicing Islam, you know. This is like a terrifying tool that they are using, and they are doing this in front of this this identity, cultural identity place for Quebecers. And they are doing this not on Fridays, because we know that the saint day in Islam is Friday, and it's not Sundays, but they're doing this on Sunday afternoon. You know, this is completely for us, I think for any Muslim, for anyone from Muslim culture, it's clear that it's a kind of call to a war, you know, intimidation, humiliation, and imposing without having maybe a military war. But this is like, it works like this here, you know what I mean? And the city, Valerie Plante, she's doing nothing. And we just find out last week that actually there are some rules in the city that don't let these people normally to do that. But look, authorities, they don't apply rules. They are not reinforcing these rules. And this is really terrifying. We don't know where we are going to go with this tendency since 2 years in our CEGEP, in our schools, in our universities. It's very bad, you know.
Out of curiosity, I just want to make sure that we're on the same page. I think the woman you're referring to is Alexa Lavoie, right? Is that the one? Is that the woman that got arrested?
No, Alexa, she was filming Natasha Graham. Alexa Lavoie, she filmed another journalist, and it was her who reflected the video, shared the video everywhere on the social medias. But the journalist who was beaten by the police, her name is Natasha Graham, and unfortunately, I know that even SPVM is suing her. You know how it's expensive, and how it's troubling for a woman, for a journalist. She's just doing her job. She's not an aggressive woman, and she's a mom, and it's just devastating for me to imagine what's going on in this file. And authorities, they have authority, you know, they can do whatever they want with people.
This just happened a few days ago, right? What you're referring to?
No, I think it was in May, maybe. Yeah.
Okay, so I know the one you're talking about then. Okay.
Yeah.
But just for clarification, this happened in, like, when you were talking about a female journalist being beaten by police, I'd assumed you were talking about back in Iran. This is happening here in Canada. Wow.
That's it. That's
Wow.
it. That's why they are terrifying. And actually, yesterday, one of our speakers, he had a very touching speech telling that he is homosexual and he's seeing these things, and it's like deja vu for us.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's
Yep.
exactly like deja vu, because even our TV, our medias, our everything is just the same pattern that we saw in Iran. That's why terrifying, you know, how everything is going in a very specific ideologic direction and censorship, and that's it. It's really it's worrying, you know.
Well, yeah, very much so.
I'm just,
And you know,
just so you know, I'm playing the video right now
Yeah.
of what you're
This is
talking
the
about. I don't know
woman-
if you can see. Yeah, and this is exactly where you were yesterday. That's right in front of the Notre Dame church there.
Exactly.
Face first. The woman looks like she weighs 125 pounds
yeah,
soaking wet.
wow, just
And
mash in her
face
face into the
first.
concrete. Oh, that's wild.
Yep.
And
the
you know,
worst, yeah, and the
ahead.
worst
No, go ahead,
thing,
Natasha.
yeah, and the worst
Or sorry,
thing
Mandana.
that these Islamist people, while these police officers are doing this, they are shouting and yelling Allahu Akbar.
All right, which is obviously
This is the call of
we all know the
jihad.
connotation. Yes, yeah.
It's this incantation is the call for jihad.
It's not just God is great, right? In this
No,
context, there's a lot more to
absolutely
it.
not. Absolutely not. It is a very, very strong symbol. You know, if you see all these videos of Al Qaeda, of Daesh, just before beheading anyone,
Of
they
course.
say Allahu Akbar. Just before any terrorist attack, they are shouting Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Why? The philosophy is because apparently the violence or killing someone is giving some kinds of joy to the person. And they are telling Allahu Akbar to remember that this joyful moment comes from the force of God, because God is greater. And for me, this is terrible that the police officers are treating these women in this way, and they are showing their joy, and it's kind of, I'm grateful that God's doing this. And you see this journalist, she's doing this because they choose to do their prayers in a public space, you know, and in front of Basilic. But if you see other videos of their prayers in general in Montreal, you will see that they try to cover the people who are doing this with flags, or they don't let anyone to film or to take pictures. And if you ask them why they are doing that, they're gonna tell you, because we want to keep our intimacy. Because you know what? But if you want to keep your intimacy, go and do your prayer in your mosque or in your houses. What you're doing here? Because this collective public prayer is one of the first steps of jihad, of Islamic colonization. You know? For me, it's not just a question, because it's sure that it was symbolically, it was very strong that they are coming to do their Islamic prayers on Sunday afternoon in front of Basilic, because they try to create a kind of inter-religional conflicts in the society.
It's a show of force. It's a show of force.
Yeah,
plain and simple. It's a show of force. It's dominance. 100%.
That's it. Because
they're saying we're here, and there's nothing you can do to stop us. And they're right. So far,
and to one point, in French we call it le bras de fer, in the sense that
iron arm.
Iron arm, in the sense that if you can now stop us, if you are the true Christians, okay, now we are insulting your place. then come to the war to us,
Yep.
And this was a very strong symbolic gesture from them. It was not every week, because unfortunately I saw how much this journal, Le Devoir, can be mean. This morning I saw that they twisted everything in their article. But anyway, they go there regularly, not every single Sunday, but regularly they went there. We are going to see if they will continue to be there in the following weeks. But our problem is not just Basilic. Our problem is the Islamist praying, Islamic collective or individual prayers in our public spaces. That's what
100%.
we don't want. That's
100%.
the final point, and that's why we were there. And that's why all those Muslims yesterday, Quebecers from Muslim countries, they talked and they had speeches that this is science. And believe us, if they start to have the power in our universities, CEGEPs, in our unions, this is terrible.
Yeah, no, and I think it's, everything you're saying is things me and Nico have been saying when we covered this issue for months now, is that this isn't really about prayer. It's an act of dominance. It's a show of force. And I just think it's so helpful to have people sort of like yourself who, I'm not sure what your personal beliefs are, but who come from Muslim countries, because I'm sure you know enough about the politics here in Canada. If me or Nico or any white guy says about, they'll just say, "Oh, you're racist. You're racist. That's why you're Islamophobic." They'll say, and of course it's bullshit, but it is effective. And so I think I love to see someone like yourself actually organizing this, because then it will cause some people to sort of listen. And I've been hearing this myself. A lot of either Muslims or people from Muslim countries who have said, listen, this is what I came here to Canada for. I'm telling you, this does not end well. This is what, Montreal has a huge Lebanese population. I was just going to say that in Montreal. And they went through all the steps, right? So, I mean, people, I can't say how happy I am to see you speaking up. And I'm really, I really appreciate everything that you're doing. Is this going to be a regular thing for you? Are you guys going to do this every Sunday, or what's going forward? How does that look?
Yes, I think maybe personally I would like to take 2 weeks of vacation, but I think people everywhere, even I received some messages from other regions in Quebec in general that I didn't know that they have these kinds of things going on in their regions too. And that you see, unfortunately, nothing is reflected by our traditional journalism. And this is kind of betraying our nation, definitely. And I think this movement, this is a democratic civic movement. It doesn't depend to our team, our 4 or 5 person who organized this the first time. And I think now we just put the right words on these actions, who can inspire others, probably and hopefully. And this movement will continue, I'm sure, and I will be there as much as I can. I think even other Iranians, Algerians, Kabul people, or other Arabs, like Arabs, like people. I have many friends from Lebanon, from Syria, Iraqi, that they have the same. Even Indians, Hindus in India, in Bangladesh, they are living horror stories since last summer from all these Islamist attacks. There are many other originally different Canadians or Quebecers who can be motivated in this act. It's not just a question of white Quebecers, it's not a question of being racist. It's just us. We lived the Islamist ideology in our countries, and we don't want to see this happening here.
You're saying that mainstream media is not going to report on this. Well, we do. That's why we do what we do, because because exactly for that reason, because mainstream won't cover it. But as I told you yesterday, you have my number now. You have my phone number. Put me on top of your list of keep me aware of what you guys are doing. Let me know how I can help, because that's something that I had proposed to Rob, that I would organize something like that. And when I saw it, one of our followers sent me that link, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna have to go there. So keep me in mind for whatever comes next. I want to be involved, and we'll figure out a way how to give you exposure online, because as you said, mainstream media is not going to cover it, but we talk about this stuff every week, if not every second day. We talk about this, so definitely keep me up to date.
I really appreciate all this alternative medias, because since we are doing these activities, it's all the time this alternative medias like your media who are doing and who are diffusing this news for the people. And this is a reality. If the mainstream medias, they don't do their job, it's sure that people, they are turning more and more toward alternative media.
100%.
For the next week, I know that they will be at Place des Armes, and even I got some calls last night from some Quebecers who told me that they are going to be there. I think this will be something that people is going to get bigger and bigger every week. And we are going to see after the opening of the Assemblée Nationale if the government is going to do something with these Islamist prayers. We are not talking about any prayer. We don't want to, that they are taking care of other stuff. We just want a law to for this Islamic prayers in our streets. That's what we want, and as soon as possible. It will be 2 years that we are living this almost 4 days per week everywhere in our streets in downtown Montreal.
Thank you for doing what you do.
Thank you so much for being here, Mandana.
Keep me up to date. We'll bring you back on when you have something new or a new protest that you're organizing. And personally, keep me in touch, because I definitely want to help you grow this.
Yeah,
thank
absolutely.
you. Thank you very much.
Thanks
you.
So much.
Have a good day.
Bye.
Bye.
Wow, two super high quality guests in one show. You love to see it.
I do my best, bro.
That's good job, good work. And it's got to be some people like her who lead these sorts of things.
It can't be a Christian white guy like me.
It can't be. We can go. People like us can support. Like, we can go to go to these protests, but we can't lead them, because we all know how that's going to go. But yeah, no, that was and that's probably a great segue into the importance of independent media and supporting your favorite independent media show, like hint, hint, wink, wink, the Political Orphans, for the low price of $2.99 a month through YouTube. Over in the chat function there, you can become a member. It supports independent media and helps shows like us get stories like this out there. A lot of these stories we cover, it's because the media is not going to touch them. Our only narrative here is truth. That's the only thing we really care about. We don't have political narratives we have to squeeze all these stories into, and there are other people out there as well doing these kinds of shows. But that's why Angry Canadian says CBC is alternative media now. We are the mainstream, and that's right. Like, we as in this show for sure. We as in you guys, the audience, but also anyone doing a show like this. This is the real media, and that's a trend that's it's at the very infancy. It's clearly starting, but I think it's going to pick up a lot of steam. Yeah,
100%. And it's one of the reasons we talk about this all the time, because this is a nonpartisan issue. She's an atheist. We talked about it. She talked about it yesterday, and I told her I was a Christian. The first thing she's like, I'm not a Christian. I'm just an atheist. And I'm like, I know. That's why what you're doing is so important, because they can accuse me of being all the words in the dictionary because I'm a white Christian. She is an Iranian woman that does not want to see what happened to her country happen to her country of adoption, that is Canada. Same thing for Lebanese people. So for her to say that she's trying to get some Lebanese people involved is absolutely brilliant, because I know a few of them in Montreal that immigrated here in the 90s. They're very successful, very smart guy, and they speak French because they're Lebanese. A lot of them do. And they're just, what happened over there. No. Like,
they're sounding the alarm.
And what's interesting is she is not a conservative. She's conservative in values, but her politics are not. But what is interesting is that, just like the Lebanese friends that I have that I know, it's always the left that opens that door.
Always.
She said the same thing that happened in Iran. It's always the left that comes in with, oh, no problem, you can do whatever you want.
They're fine,
because we're so scared to be called racist that we're not going to stop anything. And it's not racist to just say, guys, you have all the Musks in the world. If you can't accept Christians to do this, why do you let it happen for Muslims? That is all the point I'm making, right? No two tiers policing, no two-tier justice, no two-tier of government. It's just the rule applies across the fucking board. Done.
It's the only way.
That's all we're asking.
It's the only way. It's the only, once you start making special exceptions for this group, then that group's going to demand it. And the only way, one rule across the board, and this shouldn't be controversial. And another thing that's really, really beneficial from having someone from a Muslim country is, I don't know the nuance and context of Islamic worship. I didn't know that it means something that they're doing this on Sunday, but not Friday. But it's very useful to have someone up there, because like
she knows the Quran. We were talking about it yesterday. She knows the 1400 years of Muslim history and how they actually conquer countries. They don't do it with violence anymore. They don't.
No.
That's why they love the left. And one of the comments that I passed to her yesterday, and she was laughing, is that it's for the same reason as you never see Muslims in front of drag queen hours at the libraries, because they want that to happen. Of course. They let the Christian get the blame for this, while the left keeps endorsing them, and they're not going to spit on them. They're just going to, you know what? We don't oppose it because they don't care. Instead of opposing it, what they're going to do, they're going to create their own schools, like what they're doing in Calgary right now. Right? It's
and then
they're not
then
stupid. That is one thing her and I agreed upon yesterday. They're clever. They're not dumb. Do not underestimate. They know what they're doing, and they have it down to a science. They know
it's a plan.
Make it a
plan that they are executing. Right, and it starts from the imams and the religious leaders, and they're the ones organizing this shit. They absolutely, and they know the playbook. They know what to do if and when protests like Mandani's there actually start to get pick up steam. Then they'll just jump to the Islamophobic protest, the Islamophobic argument, and try to shut it down that way. And what we need to do is understand that they're going to do that, and then just not allow them to. No. Like I reject that. I reject the appeal to calling people hateful or bigots. That's not what this is about. And it's really valuable to have. Not only is it valuable to have someone like her organizing this, she's the only one who can, or not her personally, but people like that, people from
here in Canada.
Countries.
Look at what's going on. What's his name? Tommy Robinson.
Tommy Robinson. Yeah, exactly.
They can say the exact same thing,
and they put him in prison
because she's a brown woman from Iran, she'll get away with it. Tommy Robinson cannot.
And it's just effective. Sorry, go ahead.
It's bullshit. No, all I'm going to say, it's bullshit. But I like the fact that she exists, because it makes it easier to organize those types of events. Without having, you can't go and start calling her a racist. You can't.
No, you can't.
The white liberal women that use that for every single counter argument cannot use that one against her. Which, it's unfortunate that this is where we're at. That because of the color of your skin, you're not allowed to tell the truth anymore. But we are playing by their rule. By doing that, and I'm laughing. When it's Sylvie that sent me that, by the way. And when she sent me that, I'm like, oh, fuck, I need to go meet her. I went downtown, my camera malfunctioned. I record with a GoPro when I'm alone. And no, I haven't used it in like a year, stopped working. So I wasn't able to record anything, but at least I got to talk to her for a good 10 minutes, got to bring her here. So it's not going to be the first, it's not going to be the last time we see her.
No.
And
you know, it's just, sorry, go ahead.
just good woman. Oh, it's just, she's good. She's very clever. She very, very clever. Like we had a good 10, 15-minute conversation yesterday, and she knows how it works. She knows the Quran, and she can quote it to you, which is very, if you try to go up on her and just start quoting thinking she doesn't know, you're in for a surprise. That woman is very fucking clever. She's very smart, very well researched. She'll make you look stupid if you go try to argue with her, and if you're not prepared. If you're not ready to show your work, don't do it.
Yeah, I'll show each you.
This is a warning to the people out there. I'm just piece of advice. Listen to me or not. I'm just a racist, bald-headed fuck, so don't listen to me.
But you're right. That would, like, you know, we like if me or you tried to oppose this, they call us racist, and that's obviously bullshit. But it would be effective. A lot of people would say, "Oh, they're just racist." But yeah, for her, and especially someone who knows the Quran, someone who like that gives you a lot of credibility, gives her a lot of credibility. And you know, if this backlash movement against this encroaching Islamism in society is to pick up steam, it's going to have to be led by people like her. So great to see
guys. Hopefully you enjoyed today's show. It was a bit different. We tried to have more people on. We tried to keep it short, 15-20 minutes, so that we can get one or two guests every day. But let us know what you think about it. Let us know if you liked it. If you are new to this show, make sure to like, make sure to comment. If you're on X, make sure to reshare this stream. But if you're on X, you need to come up to the YouTube channel. This is where all the conversation is. This is where people interact with each other. This is where we take comments. And guys, you can send me the topics you want us to cover.
Well, I
like,
mean,
I will.
Sylvie's been
two
like,
of the five topics today is because of her
today, and she had a couple last week too.
And this is the perfect opportunity for me to ask you the question again. Which application do you guys use for something that's outside of traditional social media? Like, I want to put a channel together because obviously the Discord server is complicated and I don't think it's resonating with people, which is fine. I overtaught it. I made it too complicated, but I would like to have a channel where we can just dump some files in. I can drop some videos of us. We can drop some comments. We can take references from you guys for topics that you want us to cover. So what's the app that you use? Do you have a preference between WhatsApp, Telegram, or Signal? Just let us know. You can leave it in the comments below if you're watching this later, or you can put it in the comments right now. But I'm just curious because I want to create a place where we can continue this conversation. And just like I said, Sylvie sends me stuff all the time. We got people like Cheryl that send us stuff all the time too. So I want people to influence the show because it's about you guys as much as it is about us. So
100%. I think this show actually in several different ways showed kind of why independent media is so important to support. We had two really, really high quality guests talking about really important stories that the media is just not going to bring you. And if you, if you think that there's a need for that in the information spaces today, as I think most of us do, then the best way to do it is support independent media wherever you can. And the best way to support this show and to help, of course, build the community is to become a member through the YouTube channel. Only $2.99 a month. And you will, of course, have, you will get to support us, support the show, support independent media, and just help build the community. So that's the best way to support us here. New Dog says, I'm interested in getting more info on the LNG deal Carney got with Asia. I mean, that's the kind of stuff. Do you follow either of us on X, or I don't know, can they message you through YouTube here? I'm not sure how you.
No, they'd have either do on Instagram or X.
Instagram or X, message me or Nico with that kind of stuff. And that's exactly
info@nicolagan.com. I'll put it in the comments. This is something I watch every day, but there you go. You can send your stuff there if you have topics, you have news you think we should cover, you have guests that you want us to have on the show. Because I reach out to people all the time, and I quite often get people their suggestions from you guys
Yeah,
and I reach
yeah.
out to them. I try to find a way. But before we do, there's one thing I wanted to cover. One last thing. It'll take 2 minutes because I don't have a lot of information on it. But I wondered if you guys have heard about it, because it's just one of those FYI. We will keep an eye on it. But Blacklock's reporter reports that the feds are hiring digital ID experts. And it sounds exactly what you're thinking. They are hiring consultants in order to help the government put together a digital ID in Canada. And in case you don't believe Blacklock's reporter, even AI from Google says that, yes, the government is actively recruiting digital ID experts as part of its broadened digital talent strategy. And soon they're supposed to start public consultations. The government is also conducting public consultation to gather input on a framework for digital identity, demonstrating its commitment to evolving expert and the public in the development of digital identity solutions. So basically, they want to create a digital ID that would hold all of your information, one place for everything. If that doesn't scare the shit out of you, I don't know what will, but I will keep up to date on this. I just wanted to bring it up because, again, I follow Blacklock reporter. And by the way, fuck, I forgot to say that. By the way, we're supposed to have one of their guys tomorrow on the show. I just need to figure out how to fucking bring him on, because he only does landline. He will not show his face, and
So
he will not
mysterious.
do any type of streaming platform. So tomorrow morning, we're supposed to have him on tomorrow at 12:30. One of the people involved at Blacklock's reporter. Tomorrow morning, I'm going to try. I really have to figure out how to bring him on because I haven't figured that out yet. I'll hold my
Yeah.
cell phone to the microphone if I have to in order to make it work. But, oh, shit, that's actually probably a good there you go. Maybe. Worst case scenario, this is what I'm going to do. But all to say that we have somebody from Blacklock's reporter that will join us tomorrow to speak about what they do and why they do it.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be cool. I love it. Hopefully we can figure it out. But yeah, I mean, that'll be, I guess we'll spend tonight or tomorrow figuring that stuff out. The digital ID thing, I think, is certainly an interesting topic. It's not really something that's been on my radar screen, but I'm hearing it here and there more often. It does seem like there's a push towards it, all throughout the West. So it'll be, yeah, I mean, that's certainly something we'll keep an eye on, and I wouldn't mind doing like a major, take it as one of our major stories on one of the shows sometime soon.
Oh, it'll be one of our deep dives for sure. It's just that right now there's not much information out there. The government hasn't posted a lot about what they're trying to do.
Yeah,
it's just like public consultations have not started yet. But Blacklocks tend to report on stuff before it becomes mainstream. So we'll see. As we get more information, we will definitely bring it up here. It's just one of those topics that I'm always looking into. So do not worry. When there's an update, I will talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a good point. I was just reading this comment here, and we'll close with this. Wise guy said, I think you should have her back on and have her describe for us how Islam was taken over, or Iran was taken over by Islam. Chris H says, response says, Iran has been a Muslim country for the past 1,000 years. Yeah, I think what Wise guy's probably means is, I don't like it. Iran was not always an Islamic, like it was always an Islamic country, but like it wasn't a theocratic, like it wasn't the, it wasn't religiously led. That was only after the Shah was yeah, exactly. It was a secular nation until 1953. Yeah, I think that's what he means. How did the Islamists take over? Because the difference between being Islamic or being a Muslim and being an Islamist, those are two different things. How did religion? How did it become a religiously dominated nation? Which would be an interesting story. Certainly, I'd love to have a Lebanese refugee on to discuss like what happened from their point of view in real time, because that's kind of the cautionary tale for modern times is what happened in Lebanon.
100%.
Yep.
100%.
But that was, yeah, I know some excellent guests there. Guys, we're going to put the pin in there here. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the show, enjoyed the guests. If you do want to support us, as we were saying, you can become a member for $2.99 through your YouTube, through the chat function there. Other than that, guys, have a great day. We will catch you tomorrow, noon Eastern, same time, same place. Peace.
So